In society today, we are being attacked constantly with inauthentic conversations. Fakeness, trying to look cool, trying to be somebody we're not. That is why the Damn Dude podcast is here to have the authentic conversations that need to be had in a way that will make you think and say, Damn Dude.
What up, everybody? What is good? Welcome to the Damn Dude podcast.
Damn Dude.
This is season 3, episode 62. Welcome to the show, you guys. Welcome. And today, this is a very, very special episode. We've got a very, very special guest in the house, very special interview. And right now, I'm doing the intro for that recording. And I gotta say, I apologize to the loyal listeners who was expecting an episode over this last week, and we didn't have one. It has been crazy. There's been a lot of stuff going on. Everything's all good. Just so many things going on. I'll catch you guys all up to speed on that. But we had to put this interview together. There's a moment where it cuts out in the middle. I'll splice it all together, but it literally only missed like a couple seconds. My son happened to touch the recording or the computer, and it paused the recording, but it was only for a second. We pick right back up and keep moving. But yeah, a very real, authentic, and raw interview, making it happen at whatever cost. And we really get into a lot of things about closing this chapter in life and starting and opening the new chapter in life. And I got to say, for those of you familiar with my brother, Sebastian Hernandez, It Takes a Leap, Ignite with Self-Mastery, Sebastian Hernandez, we have a very, very special interview with him today. So for those of you who've enjoyed the interviews with him in the past, where we go really, really deep, you can look up the episodes from the past. We have an episode or two titled, You Have Not Heard Men Speak This Way. Look that one up in the podcast episodes. You'll find it, or type in Sebastian Hernandez in the little podcast search thing, and you'll find him. Go check out his podcast. And yeah, so without further ado, let's get into this episode. And I was going to say, we also dive into authenticity, education, approval, adapting in life, who's inspiring us, our patterns, or our self-sabotage, our stability, how we're creating that, and how we're designing that, and really shifting things. So this is gonna be a good one. You guys enjoy.
Damn dude.
So what up, you guys? Here it is. We've got the dual interview podcast episode with Sebastian Hernandez, and I am California Cal of the Damn Dude podcast. Sebastian is
Ignite the Spark Within.
Ignite the Spark Within with Sebastian Hernandez. So whether you're listening to this on his podcast or my podcast, you're getting the same episode with maybe a little different intro, possibly a different ending after the interview. But we're using this episode to share with each other and the audience and all of our listeners where we're at. And Sebastian's into town, and fucking welcome, bro.
Awesome, dude. Thank you. Know that every time I come to San Diego, I have to stop by here. Why does it sound weird?
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Hello. Oh, okay, there you go. That sounds way better.
Okay, there it goes.
All right.
Good.
Should we start over?
We're good. Fuck it. Just run it.
All right.
Too much work.
All right. So, yes, every time I'm in San Diego, I have to stop by and meet up with Cal. And Cal has always been one of those soul brothers. And so definitely the person and the man that inspired me to start my own podcast. So being able to be here in your studio and work together, it's always a blessing. And I'm looking forward to what magic gets created on this episode.
Fuck yeah, bro. No, dude, thanks for being here. And thanks for always making it a point to come and stop by and do this. So we kind of didn't know where to take this because we've interviewed each other before several times, and so we're like, fuck, where do we start, dude? So what we realized is like, well, the end of the year is coming up, and we're both on new chapters of our life in different ways, and that's basically what we're up to now. So as the year comes to an end, where would you say your old chapter's closing and new chapter's beginning?
Yeah, so I'm sure I've mentioned this before, how I've been running an 8-year pattern, right? So like 8 years, and I left Colombia when I was 2, was 8 years in Houston, Texas. Then I did 8 years in Florida. Then I did 8 years here in California. And for the last 8 years, I've been a nomad. I've been literally living out of my suitcase, and I'm done. I'm done with it. And so this is the end of that chapter as a nomad, and starting in 2024 is a brand new 8-year series, which I'm looking forward to. So closing this chapter as a nomad is where I'm at. What about for yourself?
Cool. For me, I would say the chapter that I'm closing up would be. Hold on, bro. Quiet, please. Okay, I love you. I miss you. So for me, where I'm at is I've been on a journey of unlearning all the things I thought I know to relearn them all newly for myself, to kind of redefine the way I view life, people, myself, finances, the whole thing. So when it comes to business, I'm bringing that to a close in a sense to learn more and start a new version of it. Also, in terms of like me stepping out of the cocoon I've been in the past year or two, well, 2 or 3 years, I should say, and getting back into the world and like wearing real clothes again and talking to people and like just being the person that like.
Wait. What do you mean wearing real clothes?
Like I had been in such a cocoon that like I didn't care about dressing nice or how I looked or anything that like my appearance. It went away with my self talk, my self image, all of that. And I'm like, I don't know what style I like. I don't even know what clothes I want to wear. Is what I own, do I even think is cool anymore? So re-stepping into and recreating, I should say, who I am and what I believe and what I want to do in the direction I'm going in life. So that would be the chapter I'm closing is all of that practice, and now stepping into the new opening of, all right, this is my style. This is the way I want to do things. This is what I like. This is what a lot of money means to me or not. This is what family means to me or not. And as I've been working, I've been defining a lot of those things more and more for myself. And so I would say that's kind of the close of my chapter, so to say.
I like that. I like the idea of coming out of your cocoon, because I feel like to a degree, that's what I've been doing, right? To a degree, like these last 8 years have been my process of going from my deep, dark depression and handling all of that and learning how to get out of my depression and learning how to gain the tools and then implement the tools and then integrate the tools and then actually live a life that's accordance to what I desire, right? And it's been a lot of failing and not knowing what I'm doing and then trying to get back up. And I feel like this is what the last 8 years have been. And similar to you regarding clothes, I think it's funny, right? Because I've gotten to that, I reached the point where like I didn't care about my clothes. Like I didn't care about impressing people. Like I didn't want my clothes to be the factor of like, oh, if I feel good or not. I was like, no, this is what I'm wearing and I know who I am regardless. It's like, you ever seen that show Undercover CEO?
Oh, yeah.
Or like Undercover Boss, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like the boss of a company like will actually like dress down and like show up, go to the company and like see how their employees treat them. Well, that's in a way, I guess indirectly or unconsciously, that's how I've been relating to my life. Right? Before these 8 years when I was in the finances, like it was the complete opposite. It was like, no, you got to dress to impress. You got to dress super nice. You got to impress everybody. Right. And I caught myself buying clothes that were way over my budget. Right. Doing things that were way out there just so that I can like stand out on clothing wise. And so people would relate to me like, oh, my God, like you must be somebody important. Right. But then it was like, wait, what happens when I don't have the clothes? Am I not that important person anymore?
Yeah.
And so these last 8 years was like, wait, how do I become that important person without having clothes be the thing that defines me? How do I become that important person without having my material wealth be the factor of whether I'm successful or not? Right. And so I can relate to that because this is part of that. It's like, all right, sometimes we have to go through that process of going through the different stages of our life to then be like, all right, this is the new chapter. I now know where I'm at, what I want, in your case, the style that I want to have. And it's like, now how do I really start to spread that or share that, express that to the world? Right. So I think, yeah, with any new chapter, it's a new beginning. Right.
Yeah. Dude, no, absolutely. And that's, you know, I relate to that entirely as well. Like, it's like my clothes don't define who I am. It's just an extension of who I am at this point. And it's just not an extension, more so a reflection of my internal state. It's like, yo, I feel good inside. I feel good outside. I look good inside and outside. Like I'm good, you know?
Yeah.
And I realized, like, for me, even putting on a button-up shirt and having it be nice was such a trigger for me at this point, because I've gone so long just not needing to or whatever, and I don't care who I impress or not impress or whatever. I'm good with myself, but it's like, all right, how do I actually use my style to I don't know, to also help I guess my glow, my you know, like my aura, kind of help accentuate that and have it be you know, not necessarily showcase, but just it's there because I have that level of care for myself.
Yeah, like it's more like it's coherent. Right?
Yeah.
Versus like this inauthentic dress to try to impress or to prove something. It's more like, no. It's just, this is who I am now. I get to dress this way because it's who I want to be, how I want to share, how I want to be related to.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember, like, back in the day when I was in the financial world, like, that was what they literally matter of fact, I remember I had my cousin when he was 16, 17 years old, that he came to California to visit me for the first time. I'm like, bro, if you want to come visit me, you got to go buy a suit.
Yeah.
He was like, what you mean? I don't got money to buy a suit. I'm like, well, then you can't come. He's like, you're going to make me buy a suit? I'm like, yep. If you don't have a suit, don't come. And he actually got a suit. And I remember having a conversation with my mom about this. My mom's like, why? I just heard that you're making him buy a suit. Why does he have to buy a suit? I'm like, because there's something that's powerful that happens as a man, when we wear a suit, there's power in that. There's a level of that. However, in that mindset back then, it wasn't necessarily an authentic appearance, right? It was more like, ooh, when I wear this is the impact. Versus now it's, I don't care what I wear. It's like, I'm going to try to produce that level of impact. And now when I do dress up, it's coherent. It's not like, oh, the dress is what makes you that. Yep. It's just like, oh, well, that makes sense. You would dress that way.
Totally. Yeah, no, absolutely. The first thing that makes me think of is like, can you actually afford to wear the clothes you're wearing? Can you actually afford the bag you're carrying? Can you actually afford the wallet you're toting around? You know, it's like a lot of people, yeah, they have the money to buy it, but that doesn't necessarily mean they could actually afford it. They have the extra, like the real disposable income to actually spend on luxury items. And it's like, we're not supposed to spend our base income on luxury things. That means we can't afford it. You know, it's like living above our means. So yeah, there's a level of authenticity inside of it when, you know, it's cohesive, like you're saying, like, yeah, no, that's a big thing.
Yeah. I was just talking to a buddy of mine, and regarding like the level of appearance and really stepping into that and owning that. And from owning, there is is this authentic to me? Is this authentic to what I want to be dressed like? Is this authentic to how I want to be represented by? But again, not from a place of, I need to wear this to be approved of. I need to wear this so that people can approve of me. But rather, I get to wear this because it feels good. And now it's in alignment with what we talked about in the past with our highest self. And it's no longer about pretending to be something. It's like, no. This is who I get to embody.
Yeah.
And embodying, it's now from, ooh, I get to step into this role. I get to step into this. And now this becomes I guess like an addition to the context of what makes me who I am. Right. But then it's, all right, well then how does that show up in coherence with our relationships with people, right? Because there's people that dress a lot, dress very well, but then they treat people horribly, and they think that they're better, right? I know a gentleman that he doesn't necessarily have the money, but he dresses like he does, and he treats people like he does. And what I mean by that is sometimes he treats people like they're less than him because of the way they're dressed. But it's like, bro, like, I know you can't even afford what you're wearing. Like, what? Like, what audacity do you have to treat people less than? Right? And that's often also so common. And it's this whole concept of you got to fake it till you make it. But what exactly are we faking?
Yeah.
Are we faking just the clothing, or are we faking the persona that comes with the clothing? Right?
We got little man Royal in the house recording with us if you hear all the extra noises and distractions. Yeah, no, totally. And then I think a lot of times too, it's like if you're faking it till you make it, you often don't even know when you made it. And you don't know when to stop faking it.
Ooh.
Right? It's like, damn, like it's like, it's corny, but it's like my version is keep it real to appeal. And you know, it's like authenticity it's usually not cool right off the bat, but in the long run, it stays cool and timeless. It's not popular. You know, like going to pick up trash, it's not cool. I mean, it really is, but you know, it's like people are too cool to do it in the beginning. So it's like, all right, well, shit, how do we move beyond that, right? Like,
yeah, which I think you're touching on a very interesting component. It's how much of our life has been driven by looking good, like being cool. Like, all right, yeah, I'll do it if I look cool doing it. But if that's going to make me look not cool, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm going to look like a fool. I'm going to look retarded. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Nah. Right? And so especially when we look at, for example, leadership, right? Leadership is about putting yourself out there first. And most of the times in that first position, like, you're going to stand out, and you're going to be odd, and you're going to be awkward, and you're going to be doing stuff that most people aren't doing. So it's like, obviously it's going to be weird, but it's not until that second person shows up that makes the first one not look so weird.
yeah, dude, no, totally. And that's, you know, it's interesting. Like the interview I did with my buddy, Yamamoto boss, Jason Yamamoto, the other day, he had mentioned something along the lines of like, because he does music. He's an Asian dude, a big Asian dude who does music, or who does rap. And he was like, yo, these people only hate on me now because they don't know how to digest me. They don't know how to take in what I'm doing. Nobody's done this yet, so they don't get it. And it's going to take some time, but all these people, they're going to turn into fans once the momentum shifts, and once the scale flips to, oh, this guy's cool, this is what's cool, and people know how to digest it. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, and due to his authenticity will make it go the long run.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, like, that shit's cool. It's exactly it. Like, people don't know how to digest the new thing, even in their own mind, to go put themselves in the position to even look foolish. So it's like, or, you know, feel foolish or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, just do it. Look foolish. Who cares? You know, it's like you're making the world a better place. Like, to, you know, to pick up trash, to start a podcast, to start your own business, to whatever, to declare anything. I'm going to do this. It's scary. It feels, you know, I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm this. There's always some kind of version of an excuse or story we can lean into. So as far as new chapter, what's the new chapter you're opening into? You kind of mentioned it briefly, but like, let's go more into detail so we can kind of help create this and make this more real so everyone else can believe in it too.
Yeah. And kind of to go back a little bit, what you were talking about, like becoming an outlier, right? The outlier is the one that's willing to do something, even if it's off, but he does it long enough till it becomes the thing, right? And so kind of what that turned into the last 8 years was, I didn't know that it was going to turn into 8 years, right? It was just me taking a leap of faith of like, I don't know what I want. I don't know who I am. I don't know what my purpose is, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to figure that out. And so these last 8 years has been about that. Has been about focusing on that, has been about focusing on, all right, well, what is my purpose? Well, who am I really in all facets of me? And so this new chapter, it's like, all right, I did the work. All right, these last 8 years, I did the work to figure out for myself, who am I? I went through my hell. I came back. I discovered my demons, befriended my demons, right? Negotiated with my demons. Now I'm investing with my demons, right? And how to be able to help others dealing with their own demons. But I had to deal with that first. And so these last 8 years was about my personal experience, my personal relationship, my personal journey of getting connected to who I am and what my impact is going to be on the earth. This next chapter, it's all right, now let's fucking put it to the test.
Yeah.
Now let's do it. Now let's create it. And so I've mentioned this to you in the past, that this next chapter is all about building my healing center. Like, this is it. Like, I've done this last 8 years of learning everything about, like, around shamanism, exposing myself to different shamans, exposing myself to different plant medicines, exposing myself to different indigenous people, to different cultures, to different mindsets, to different modalities, to different ways of being able to heal, to be like, all right, I've got like a good arsenal of tools. I've traveled. Now, what does it look like for me to just stay still, like in one location, and actually have roots in one location? Yeah. Right. And so this is what this next chapter for me is about. It's all right, now I'm going to focus in on staying in one location, which I've mentioned, it's going to be Colombia. Right. And it's going to be off in Santa Marta. It's the focus out there by the beach. I had a really powerful connection with the spirit realm in a ceremony that I did. And now it's like, all right, now how do we make this, how do we take this education, this healing, and make it more accessible by me not having to be traveling around? And it's like, hey, Sebastian, where are you going to be at this day? Where are you going to be? No, that's where you can find me. I got a place where you can go kick it whenever you want. You can come kick it. Yeah. Right. But it's that's a lot of the component of this next chapter for me. What about for you?
Dude, I love that. It's like same story, different or different story, same context, I guess, for me, which would be along the lines of taking everything, all the work I've been doing over the past, I don't know, since like 2012 really is when my like waking up started happening. So from about that point till now, taking all the things I've learned, because I've always viewed myself and my thinking and my place on this planet as if we're on a scale of life and 0 is neutral. I feel like I've always been on the negative side of the scale the whole time, and it's been this climb to 0, and then I get knocked back into negative, climb to 0, knocked back to negative. And I could be doing good in there's areas of my life where it's super high in the positives, but there's a baseline of we're below 0. So for me, it's like bringing myself up to, okay, I'm good enough. I can do this shit. I have enough self-belief, talent, drive, all these things to actually do what I imagine and think of and see and create. So it's taking all the lessons, all the things from my travels, the teachers I've worked with, all the different modalities I've engaged in and learned about, and books I've read, and podcasts I listened to, whatever, all these things, all right, we had a glitch in the system here. I don't know where it got cut off or where I left off. But basically talking about applying all the lessons that I've learned since the last 2012, since I feel like I started waking up to myself and my higher self, and now taking all of those lessons and applying them all and putting them into structure and place the way it's supposed to be done. For me, running business over the last 15 years, it was all loosey-goosey and everywhere. My plan was built off of a lot of ignorance. And now I realize how ignorant it all was and how easy it was to get through all that. I'm like, shit, if I had the right plan in play, this would be fucking 100 times what it is. So that's like a whole big thing for me in this new chapter, is getting educated in new ways and challenging myself. The things that I consider hard now are different than what they used to be. So I'm trying all sorts of new hard things, like going to school for me is hard as fuck. So that's a challenge I'm taking on for myself, to go back to school, to be okay with either no money or fucking lots of money, like just to maintain who I am throughout all the ebbs and flows and ups and downs and dips and, peaks and valleys or whatever, right? Yeah. So
Which I got to say, I'm really proud of you, because I know that education has been something that you've been grappling with for quite some time. And the fact that you're like, no, I'm in, I'm committed to this, and I'm committed to doing whatever it takes to like really expand. I think that's huge. I mean, and it sends a really positive message to the audience, to the listeners, right? That it doesn't matter where you're at and what stage you're at in your life. Like, it's never too late to go back to school, right? And back to school, not necessarily like it has to be an actual tangible brick and mortar school, but rather going back to learning and really choosing to take on this growth mindset. And the growth mindset states, I'm never done learning. Right? It's like, nope, I got to keep learning. I got to keep learning. I got to keep expanding. And so again, my hat's off to you for choosing that, because you're not just doing it for yourself, which I'm sure you are, but then the byproduct of that is that the example that you're leaving for your kids, the example that you're leaving for your friends, for your community, for your tribe, with that they see you, they're like, wait, hold on. This is the same Calvin that was like knocking education and all this stuff, right? And I was like bragging about his F's.
Yeah.
Right? So like, wait, hold on. You mean to tell me that you actually now want to? I think that's powerful, dude. I think that's really cool. And it's really a demonstration of your growth, of choosing to bring awareness to our ignorance. And ignorance, again, is just lack of education. Right? And oftentimes that's where we work from, because we just simply don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So I do want to highlight that you can't go back and say, oh, well, of course, if you could go back now, knowing what you know now, obviously things would be different. Obviously. Right. But it's like, but that's the thing. We have to go through it. We have to go through the failures. We have to go through that first product that was what was it called? It's like pancake. That's the way it was presented to me, like the pancake theory. Right? Like whenever you go to make your first pancake, that first pancake, like the batter isn't fully mixed, like the pancake isn't fully rounded yet, like the stove isn't fully connected yet. So that first pancake isn't the best pancake. Then you make the second pancake and it's like, it's kind of. But usually by like the third or the fourth pancake, like that's when like the pancake starts to come out nice and circular and like perfect. Right? And so you can't just get mad at the first pancake. It's part of the process to get to the fourth pancake.
Yeah.
Right? But I think that's where most people get caught up. And I think this is where it goes also hand in hand with failure. Right? If somebody on their first try fails, they're like, oh, well, I'm a failure. This is obviously not for me. Right? Or if they make it past the first one, they get to the second one, they're like, I'm still not doing it. Like, yeah, this is definitely not for me. Right? The other person goes, yep, I failed this one. Well, duh. This is my first time doing it. They fail the second. It's like, oh, well, is there better? Yep, there's improvement. All right, great. I keep moving. Right? And so there's a difference in mindset of or the person that relates to failure as, I'm not good at this, versus the person that relates to failure like, oh, this is part of the process to get to where I want to be. But I think most times we get caught up and stuck in, we don't know what the actual end result is. Right? And so we say, well, let me try this out and see if it works. But what's the final destination? Oh, I don't know. Well, then what are you doing it for? To see if it works. All right. Well, then that's what you're going to see. Yeah. Right? And if it doesn't work, well, then you're not going to go for it. Right? Because you don't have the final vision. What's the final vision? If I know that the final vision is that I'm going to have a multi-billion dollar company and I keep failing, well, if I know that the vision is that, well, then it doesn't matter how many times I fail. I'm going to keep getting out because I know what the final vision is.
Yeah.
But if I don't know what the final vision is, the moment I fail, I'm like, well, obviously this isn't for me. Why? Because I didn't have a long-term vision of what would happen if I just stayed in the game long enough.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Bro, that's so funny too. It's like, and thank you for saying what you said. And it's funny because when I say I built my original business plan built off of ignorance, I had no final destination. And I did it for 15 years just going, what am I doing? I don't know. What am I doing? I don't know. I can do that for 15 years. Yeah. Now what if I actually knew what the fuck to do for the next 15 years, right? Like, I'm not worried about managing my own emotions or whatever. I got that down. Like, just my spiritual, emotional, whatever growth. Now my intellectual growth is just going to bring it all full circle and really work, So I can see it's like, all right, if I just built a plan off of something smart, something tried and true that works, that it's commendable to an extent that I fucking was able to get as far as I did, knowing nothing and actively shitting on and denying different sorts of education and whatever, and like, you know, not reading books and all that. I only started reading books like halfway through my career in life, really, you know? So I can see how it really makes a big difference to come and approach all these things with the end goal in mind, because that's how I do most of the things. It's like, all right, end goal in mind, work the plan backwards, and that's what every fucking smart person says. And I'm like, okay, I wasn't even smart enough to see, or creative enough, or so far out of my ignorance enough to see a final plan or destination or anything.
Yeah, but don't make yourself hard on that, because look, especially as a self-mastery coach and talking to all the different people that I talk to on an almost daily basis, I would say almost 8 out of 10 people have no clue what that final destination is. And oftentimes it's because they've never been asked. They've never been given the opportunity to think that big, right? Because most people aren't given that opportunity. Most people are constantly being told how they can't make it.
Yeah.
Right? Most people are being told constantly, yeah, you can't do that. Yeah, what? You're not even, you want to be a comedian? You're not even funny. You want to be an artist? Yo, your art sucks. You want to be a rapper? Bro, your lyrics are garbage. You want to do this? Yeah, you can't do that. Right? And so most people aren't necessarily getting encouraged to be the best. And whenever you find somebody that says, yo, I'm going to be a freaking multi-billionaire, most people are like, yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah. Right? And so whenever you do plan big, or whenever you do have that big vision, or whenever you do have this final thing in mind, if you don't say it to the right people, the wrong people will try to discourage you and reminding you of why you can't.
Yeah.
So it's not actually that normal or that common for people to be very crystal clear, dialed in on what it is that they actually want.
Yeah.
And again, it's not that they can't. It's just they've never been given the opportunity to start thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, totally. No, that's a great point. And I look at that too, and I look at how much for myself encouragement I had growing up through school or life or whatever. And it was like, no, you suck. No, you're dumb. You're whatever. So the most I could do is take on that and be like, well, fuck, I'm trying hard and school's not working. I'm trying hard here. It's not working. All right, I just have to accept I'm dumb, and I got to learn to be extra funny in certain circumstances, like, or extra hard or extra tough or whatever. And like, you know, and it's like going that route, I could see how myself and I see how others can and have gotten lost at that turning point. Yeah. You know, or at that crossroads.
Yeah. I think there's a level of adapting, right? There's a level of adapting to what people tell us. Like if people tell you long enough and consistently enough that you're not good enough, well, then you're going to start to adapt to that, because you're like, well, I guess that's what it is, right? And this is where the mental toughness comes in, that not everybody has the same level of mental toughness. Yeah. And it's not because there's other people that are more special. No, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do a lot with the self-conversations that we have with ourselves. Right? How do we relate to ourselves? How do we talk to ourselves? Even when other people aren't necessarily saying good things about us, can we say good things about ourselves? Yeah. And that can be difficult. That can be the challenge, right? We get stuck in who we think we are or who we've been. If we've had a really big failure, then all of a sudden that's our label and that's who we relate to ourselves, and we move forward with that. Right. I was just finishing up a coaching call, and we were talking about how my participant, how he relates to his father. Right. And part of that, the relationship with his father, is that he just did like a whole 20 minutes telling him of all the bad things, how he sees his dad. I'm like, okay, great. Now, what's the ultimate version of your dad? Do you know what that looks like? And he was just like, well, and so he started to say some things about what he had asked his dad. And that was the first time I ever heard him talk about his dad that way. I was like, wow. Now imagine if you kept relating to your dad as that. Oof. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, instead of reminding him of all the bad things he's done, of all the things he hasn't done yet, of all the things that he still needs to get done and how inadequate he is, imagine if you just started to continuously relate to him like the super being that he is, and keep inspiring him to be that and step into that. And then all of a sudden, how we relate to people, we give people the opportunity to step into that. Yeah. So if I relate to you as your greatness, and every time you're around me, you know that Sebastian's going to relate to you as your greatness, what are the chances that you're going to try to be in your best and your greatness when you're around Sebastian? Right. Same thing, right? Yeah. And so it's now, if you're around somebody that's constantly putting you down, constantly shutting you down, then most likely when you're around that person, you're going to fall back into that. if you don't bring awareness to that. And so that's the self-awareness component. It's like, wait, how do I relate to myself? And how do I let other people manage or interfere with how I relate to myself? And how does that impact my day-to-day? Am I coherent? Right? Because then there's the self-sabotage component, which is, all right, well, I believe I can, but then these self-sabotage ideas come in, which, wait, but can you really? Because look, man, you got all this experience that says the opposite. You have all these failures that say the opposite. Can you really do that? And that's the mental toughness component. So this is where it's like, all right, well, who do you have in your life that if you don't have somebody, who can you look for in your life that can start to encourage you? And who can you encourage in your life and start to build that loop system, right? It's like one of the things that I admire you and I relate to you as one of my close friends, one of my brothers is because of that. Because I know that every time I have a vision or something, you're not going to put me down. You're going to encourage me. And vice versa. Every time you have an idea, it's like, yo, yes, let's do it. Yeah. And so it's how do you start to create those alliances around your network of people that now believe in you and you get to believe in them. And be that shift.
Dude, totally. That's so good, man. That's so good. That makes me think, like, when you first moved away, when you first went on the nomadic journey, or when you were, I should more say, when you were coming around San Diego less, for me, it was like, oh no, who's my like person to be that for me, you know? And in that, I'm like, well, okay, well, it's not on Sebastian to make me better and lift me up. It's just part of who he is and part of the benefit of our relationship. But more so, it's like, well, now what do I do? Like, fuck, who else is going to tell me these things and encourage me in this way? And I'm looking around, I'm like, fuck, I don't have anybody who's going to do that for me in my immediate, that I can think of, you know? Yeah. So where I went with that was, all right, I'm going to listen to people who are like that. So I started listening to different podcasts with different people: Andy Frisella, Ed Milet, Bradley, Zachary Babcock, I forget who else at the time, but David Meltzer, and just listening to these people who I didn't know who to listen to. So I heard it from one of these people. They said, if you don't know what you want to, it's like, if you don't know exactly what you want to do, find people who are successful in the way that you want to be successful. Then just pick as much as you can from that person and then just apply it to your own context, your own version. Yeah. So I started listening to podcasts and reading books and all of these things of people who I thought, yo, like, this guy's successful in a really cool way that I wouldn't mind being successful in that way. Like, that's the right way to be rich. That's the right way to run a company. That's the right way to have a team, a family, or whatever. So I realized it's like, all right, well, shit, if I didn't have the people around me immediately, and it wasn't like I can just give you a call, you're in the jungle, or, you know, it's like, so it's like, well, fuck, I can't even get a hold of him if I want. It's going to take a month. By that time, I'll have figured it out. Like, so like, if we don't have those people, I think the right answer is if you have the internet, which most of us do, go and start listening to people who are successful in the way that you want to be successful. And like, I think that's a good tool to start figuring out where the fuck we should go and where to put our energies and who to listen to. Because there's so many scammers out there. And it's like, I filtered through there was a bunch of people. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is cool. And then like a time goes by, I'm like, wow, no, this dude's full of shit. Like, no. He's just saying the words. He's not really living it. There's a lack of authenticity existing in this whole message. And like, I think when you listen to people long enough, you hear there's a level of authenticity. And for me, those people that I still listen to, like years later, it doesn't matter if we agree, like politically or this or that or whatever. It's like, yo, there's a level of authenticity and I can count on this person to tell the truth about what they observe. I don't have to agree. I don't have to like it. And most of the time, the people saying the shit that really we need is the people saying the things we don't like what they have to say.
Yeah, it triggers us.
Yeah.
Right? It triggers us. And there's that level of authenticity that I love you're speaking to. And it's all right, how often can we find people that are authentic? Because oftentimes, let's be real, it's hard, right? And now with all this AI, and now it's like, man, the messaging getting better and better. But is it all real? Is it authentic? Is it coming from an actual experience based? Or is it just great theory and context, right? Or content, right? Not necessarily contact. It's just content that sounds really good. But it's like, yeah, that's great. But like, have you done it? have you actually applied it? Right? Because if you haven't, then yeah, I could have just read that information myself. Right? And so there's that component of finding people that really inspire us, that really help us get to that next level. And it's not just because they sound good, but because of the model that they're leading by example. And like you said, sometimes they're not necessarily perfect, right? Like, look, some of my best role models aren't necessarily the healthiest ones, but they were my role models because even in them doing the bad stuff, it showed me the impact of doing bad. So I'm like, all right, I now know that's not the path I want to go.
Yep.
Right. And so even a bad example is still an example. And so those role models that serve in our life is what allows us to step into and continue to evolve and see other people's examples. And again, oftentimes we're so close, we're so prone to judge, right? We're so prone to point the finger and just blame. But it's like what I was telling my participant today, it's instead of looking from the outside, it's like, wait, do you know what that person's gone through in the inside? Like, why does that person do what that person does? Like, why does he behave the way he behaves? And so when you start to look at successful people and you start to ask those questions, you start to see a pattern. And when you start to see people that aren't necessarily successful, aren't necessarily going after, you start to see a pattern.
Yeah.
And that's where you start to see, all right, well, what's my pattern?
Yeah.
And am I even aware of my pattern? Am I even aware of my self-sabotage? Am I even aware of where I'm growing? Am I even taking count? Right? Like, how do I know if I'm growing? Right? Because then there's the other part where it's like we get so stuck on just looking at other people. Right? Because I remember when I was in the finance world, that was one of the things. Is like I'd be so inspired by seeing other people grow. I was like, yeah, one day I'll be like that. One day I'll be like that. And all I did was just look at them. But what was my actions?
Yeah.
My actions weren't necessarily correlated with what they were doing. It was just inspired by what they were doing. And so they're like, yeah, that's so cool. I want to be like them. But they wake up at 5 a.m. Are you? Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Yeah, but they make 50 calls before lunch. Will you do that? Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. So what's the point of being inspired by them if you're not going to take action on what they're inspiring you to do?
Yeah, totally. Dude, totally. I feel like that's a big component of modern day social media / for me was rap music. Was like, I see these people living the life, smoking blunts, this and that, nice cars, big house, all this, but it's like, hold on, this is just for a video. This isn't, what they're doing every day is not getting drunk and smoking these fat blunts and partying. That's not what they're doing every day. Like, they're actually in the studio working fucking 24, 26, 30 hours and, doing these things straight. Not sleeping, not changing your clothes, not eating, like all these things. And it's like, are you willing to do that? And it's like for most of the people, no. So it's like, dude, no, that totally resonates. I love that. And that makes a lot of sense, and it kind of describes why modern society is the way it is in general. So many people taking inspiration from the success, not the grind or the hard work, everything that got put into it.
Yeah, because that part isn't sexy. The hard work part isn't sexy. The having to sit in front of a computer and edit for 3 hours isn't sexy, right? The having to go out there and prospect leads, that's not sexy. Yeah. The having to go out there and do cold calling for 5 hours, that's not sexy.
Yeah.
Right? What's sexy is the byproduct of that, but that's not the part that they're showing. They're not showing the difficult part. They're showing the byproduct, which is what happens when you do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so people are often believe that, oh, well, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. That must not be that difficult. Right? And so again, it's wait, are we actually willing to do what it takes to grow? And hence the reason why, again, the question is, well, what is it that I actually want? And what am I willing to do for that want? Am I willing to put myself through the uncomfortable growth? And that uncomfortable growth is, am I willing to take actions that I don't necessarily want to do, but I know they're necessary for me to be able to have that byproduct, which is that yacht, to be able to have that $1 million home, to be able to, do I have what it takes? Then more importantly, the discipline. Because we all have what it takes, but do we have the discipline? Do we have the consistency? Do we have the mental toughness to be willing to do what it takes? Yeah. Right? Because surface level, everybody wants to be rich. Surface level, everybody wants to be happy. Surface level, but nobody wants to be depressed. But go ask the people that are depressed, do you want to get out of your depression? Yeah. All right. Are you want to do something about it? Yeah. No, not yet though. Okay.
Yeah.
right? And so it's like, all right, well, like, do you really want it, or is it just something that you say you want? And then there's the growth. And oftentimes I feel like people are under this impression that growth happens overnight. Like, bro, if I make those 5 hours of cold calling today, that's going to set me up for the rest of the year. Nah, homie, that's going to set you up for today. You gotta do that tomorrow too. Right? Right? And so it's the consistency of the hard work, and where we no longer look at it as hard work.
Yeah.
Because context is key. And so if I relate to what I'm doing as hard work, well, then I'm not going to last that long.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
if I take that same thing that's considered hard work and I relate to it as, oh, this is part of what I enjoy doing, this is what's going to make me the best, then all of a sudden there's a higher chance of me continuing to stick to that.
Yeah. No, dude, absolutely. I feel like that's the simple mindset of I get to.
Yeah,
It's not I have to, it's I get to. And I remember for myself, making phone calls and doing the clerical work, that's the hardest part for me. And the moment I really did switch it, it's like, this is what allows me to do this. This equals this. Yeah. This work equals this. And it's like, oh, okay, well, shit. If this sucky shit equals my vacation, my fucking weed, my car, my stuff for my kids, my whatever, right? Like, if that equals all of that, it also equals kids getting taught great skills and all these other things. It's like, whoa, okay, these are the dues I have to pay to do that. And it's like that with anything. It's like, if you want to learn to ride learn to ride a surfboard, you're gonna get your ass kicked a bunch of times. Like, you're gonna get your ass kicked more than you do it successful.
Drown multiple times.
You're gonna get fucked up. Like, in Hawaii, they call it paying dues. When you get scraped up by the coral reef and all that, like, they laugh. They go, "Ha, you paid your dues." Like, cool, bro. Like, and that means, like, come back. Yeah. Like, you got hurt. Yeah, you're bleeding. Yeah, you're crying. All the wind's knocked out of your stomach. But come back. Do it again. You just paid. Like, that was the work you paid. Now you get to play. Yeah. It's like, oh, shit, okay.
Yeah, but sometimes that's hard, right? Because, it's like, oh, wait, I don't want that. I don't want to do that again. But it's like, no, this is where the magic of get back up.
Yep. Dude, and that's the power, what I've learned of having grit. Being a gritty person. It's like, for myself, I kept noticing I have the mental toughness. I have the drive and the no quit in me. But once somebody pointed out, dude, you are the grittiest dude I know. You'll just keep going. It doesn't matter. I'm like, whoa, I didn't realize that was a power. And for those of the people who, if you're a gritty motherfucker, you don't have any smarts or whatever, but you got grit, that'll take you a long fucking way.
Absolutely, bro.
And add that to some education and some, like, doing the work, like, then you got to plan for success,
Well, I think that's the power in having grit, right? That because you're not willing to stop, you keep just adding more stuff to the plate. Like, eventually, like, if you have grit, and it's not unconscious grit, like, I'm just going to keep slamming my head against this wall, right? And I'm just not going to stop because I got to keep doing it. But rather, I'm going to keep doing it. Oh, this doesn't work. All right, I'm going to keep doing this way. All right, I'm going to keep going and just keep moving forward. Then by default, you're going to have new tools show up. You're going to have new resources show up. You're going to have new strategies show up. Yeah. Because you haven't quit. And so it's just going to keep showing up for you. Yeah. Versus unconsciously, which is, I'm just going to slam this against this and I'm just going to see what happens if anything changes. Versus learning from the growth or learning from the process, you're just stuck in the process. Yeah. Right? So it's learning from the process, evolving from the process, looking at the process and saying, all right, well, obviously this isn't working. How do I make it better? Not from a place of, oh, this isn't working, I got to quit. But rather, this isn't working, I got to try something different. Yeah. Right? Always with what? With the direction moving forward. Now, and I'm sure we've talked about this in the past, where it's like this whole concept of like, oh, but like sometimes I take one step forward and I have to like take like three step back, right? And often I tell people, it's like, what's wrong with that? It's like, well, that means I'm not moving forward. I was like, well, maybe you hit a dead end. Yeah. And the only way to keep progressing is by taking those three steps back, and then shifting, pivoting just a little to the left, and now move forward. Yeah. Right? And that's sometimes where it's like, yeah, oh man, I just did this, but no matter how much I try, everything keeps going back. All right, well then maybe that's not the direction. You don't stop, you just pivot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You keep pivoting until you find that route that keeps you moving forward.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree.
Right. So now let me ask you. So this next chapter for you, what does this next chapter look like for you?
All right, try to do this quickly. I gotta go. So next chapter looks like a lot of education, dedication to my education, letting go of old ideas I have of life and things that held me back. So stepping into new possibilities based off of the wisdom I've accumulated and creating life by my exact design with a very clear end picture in place to every detail, to like where I'm thinking about like doorknobs and shit like that. Like so that's, I'm honing in on that. I'm constructing this in my mind, and putting the pieces together. So that's what I want this next chapter to be, is the plan put together. And then over the next 2 years is just blindly working the plan, adapting, adjusting, whatever comes my way, but just follow the plan. Yeah. And that's it. It's just that's my next goal, is create the ultimate plan and just do that.
Yeah.
So that, in combination with leaning into the family element of my life, recreating that newly for myself in many ways with my own immediate family and then my extended family and everybody involved. So
beautiful. I love that. Again, there's an expansion for growth and having that expand onto others.
Yeah.
Right. I love that.
Totally. How about for you?
Like I mentioned, yeah, it's being able to really hone in on setting roots. And part of that is like, I'm ready to have my family too. Like, I'm ready for that, man. I'm ready to start like really settle down and like really focus in on like, all right, these last 8 years were about me and finding me. Well, I found me. I'm ready for me to really go out there. And now it's like, all right, now that I've found me and I'm sticking to a place to really build it, now it's all right, now how do I start to build my family as well? Right? Build that tribe, build that solid foundation. And really that's all inside of all the work that I've done the last 8 years.
Yeah.
It's just now it's like, all right, now instead of focusing on me and my personal growth, it's now how do I really just solidify this and make this now more than just a business, right? But rather like my lifestyle and my lifestyle's work, and have that be a demonstration of like, this is now the stability aspect, right? The last 8 years was about like exploring, adventure, learning. This stage is now stability. Right? Where it's like, no, now my focus is I need stability in my life. If I want to have family, I need stability. If I want to have my career get to the next level, I need stability. If I really want to take my career, my retreats, everything that I got going on, it's stability. And now I'm starting to really understand that concept. So these next 8 years is about the year or the theme of stability.
I love that. I love that. I'm gonna have to borrow that from you. That's good.
Heck
Stability. Yeah, no, I love that. That exactly sums up everything for me personally too. So that's awesome, dude. I love it. And that makes perfect sense with everything I've observed of you and where you're going with it all. And it makes too much sense. Like, I love it, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So for all my listeners from the Damn Dude podcast, you guys go follow and subscribe to Sebastian's show, Ignite the Spark Within. Go give that a follow. If you're listening to his podcast, come follow mine at Damn Dude Podcast. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. This was dope.
Boom.
Anything?
Absolutely, man. Again, thank you. If you guys don't know, Ignite the Spark Within was actually inspired by the Damn Dude podcast. Matter of fact, the first actual legitimate Ignite the Spark episode was actually recorded at the Damn Dude podcast. So a lot of Ignite the Spark wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for the Damn Dude. So always a pleasure and an honor to share this space, this mic with you, brother. Dude, thank you. Thank you. And everybody listening, thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you guys. Much love. Peace.
Boom.